It's The Journey with drug and alcohol attorney Mark G. Astor.
All right, so welcome back everybody to I guess this is a special edition of The Journey. I'm really excited to have a very good friend of mine, Sharon Burns Carter, on the show. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Mark?
All right, are you nervous?
A little bit.
You are?
Yes, I'm not a performer.
Do you know what we had a couple of weeks ago? We had Jennifer Jimenez on the show. I don't know if you know who Jennifer is. Jennifer, she was a model with Cameron Diaz. She was an actress. And she did some movies. She did a reality show with Dr. Drew because she's in recovery. She's a really special lady, and we had so much to talk about. I actually had on. We did 2 hours, so we did two 1 hour shows, and I teased her a little bit because the first time she came in here, she said, "Oh, I got to go blow my nose," and I said, "Why?" She said, "Well, whenever I get nervous, my nose runs," and I said, "This is." I have a little podcast, little itty bitty podcast that I do once a week out of my office here, which thanks to Jay and Deanna looks like a real studio. And I said, "You've been in movies, you were a model, you did a reality show with Dr. Drew, and you're nervous." So I sort of teased her about it, but she was a fabulous guest. So what I would say is, if Jennifer can get nervous,
I'm allowed to get nervous.
Yeah, you're allowed to get nervous.
I'm permitted to be nervous.
Yeah, you are. So I'm excited to have you on, and I know we have some important stuff to talk about. And we knew each other from before the whole JFS thing, right? Because you worked at, is it Wellness Resource?
Yes, I was one of the co-founders of Wellness Resource Center and the director of programs, and and I continued to be involved over there. I left there in 2005, but continued to consult with them and actually have the honor and privilege of facilitating an experiential group there twice a week. It's very energizing and exciting and rewarding. But I believe that we met, because you are very memorable, is at the Southeast Florida Recovery Advocate meeting, when we met one day at, I think it was down at Life of Purpose.
Okay.
It was the first one that you came to, and there was this British man sitting at the end of the table.
I did, and I was late.
You were late.
I was
odd.
Late. I'm always late. I don't know why that is. I'm late.
So I think that's when we met, and actually Linda Montner of the Ian Montner Foundation had introduced you.
Another really special lady.
Yes.
She's terrific. I've tried to get her on the show too, but I can't get her on it, but I will.
Well, she's a busy nurse.
I know.
She's busy all day long.
I know.
But, I just spoke with her last night. But that's when we first met, and then I believe you did speak to the people. You did a training at Wellness Resource Center.
I did.
Introduced you and been hearing about you through the grapevine as you continue to help people. I heard that you have the record for the speediest Marchman Act ever. Apparently you got someone help they needed, I think within like 5 hours or something.
Yeah, well, it's not unusual for us to do a pick up within 5 or 6 hours. I mean...
Well, that's...
I've got it down to a science.
Yes,
yeah.
You do.
I mean, and that happens to be, for the most part, Palm Beach County, and I keep telling people this, Palm Beach County is the best place to do it. Not because other places are bad, just that we have some really great judges down here. We've got a fabulous clerk's office. And, thanks to Dave Ehrenberg and the Sober Homes Task Force, Canal Johnson, who runs it, we've got sort of some of the charlatans out of the industry. So we're able to get things done really, really quickly.
Right. And I think that a lot of that has to do with you and kind of honing it. So we appreciate that.
I appreciate that. You're going to make me blush.
Making you blush. See, they'll fix that on the camera after post-production.
Yeah, I don't know if they can fix this. Okay. Yeah, that's not there. I mean, it's funny. I got a photo up on the wall that was taken like 5-6 years ago. I was living in LA, and I don't know what happened. I really don't. I've got a picture of my father. I've got a picture of my dad in the office. So, my father, who passed away a couple of years ago, I had this great photograph, and I feel like he sort of keeps an eye on me. But I've noticed, as I've gotten older, that I look more like him. And in fact, when I looked at my parents' wedding photograph, we would look like twins. So now, we have an older version, an older photograph
Your future,
of him.
right.
And I'm saying, yeah, and apparently, so my mother told Audra, who's my colleague, that she says, it's just like, apparently I'm just like my father. So my father in his younger days, was a self-made man, very driven, and wanted to take care of his family. So I take that with a big compliment. It's from my mum.
Oh.
So that's a good thing, right?
That's a very good thing.
So,
and you do have a very big heart.
Thank you. Well, I'm driven to help people, and it took me a long time to figure out that the only way I was going to really be happy as a lawyer was if we had a practice that was really focused on helping people. So
you're an unusual lawyer.
I am an unusual lawyer. Yeah, we have a very different practice here. You know, really helping, you know, parents whose kids are dealing with addiction and mental illness, which is kind of what brought us together, right? Because
then the second time we encountered each other face to face, even though I was hearing about you, was when I was brought on at the Ruth and Norman Rails Jewish Family Services as a consultant. And I had spoken to the chief executive officer there, who I work with, Danielle Hartman, and I had
we
suggested,
love Danielle, isn't she amazing?
I had suggested, why
her.
don't you get in touch for our committee, our task force at the time? Why don't you get in touch with Mark Astor? And she said, Mark Astor, he's on my board. I'm already in touch with him. So then you came and joined the committee as well as, I think, serving on the board at JFS.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the committee. So JFS is Jewish Family Services, and so my understanding of the whole core value of Jewish Family Services is to help families out there who might be in need of services, right? I mean, anything to do with the family, housing, you know, food, you know, resources of any kind. And while it, you know, obviously it's Jewish Family Services, I mean, we you know, as committee members, I mean, we cater really to the whole of Palm Beach County. We really don't care whether you're Jewish or not, or religious or not. I mean, we're here, you know, to help. And I know I've been to the food bank in Delray, and they feed a lot of people who just otherwise, you know, just really couldn't even afford to buy food. It's amazing work. So, but I know this, the JFS does other stuff, right? I mean,
yeah. So the Jewish Family Services here is it's amazing. I actually, my older son began going to school on that campus in West Boca the first year it opened at Donna Klein Jewish Academy. So I remember them from years back. He was there for elementary school, and since then things have changed. 9/11, everything became, you know, very much more secure, but at the same time, the place just has like exploded. So they have the Gould House, they have Jewish Family Services, the Federation is housed there, as well as Hillel Elementary School, Katz Hillel Elementary School, Katz Yeshiva High School.
Yes, that high school is unbelievable.
Yeah, I was there yesterday for Limud.
Oh my goodness.
It was amazing. So, and just all sorts of stuff having been built on that campus and that land that they have. It's just sprawling. So one of the other things, or a couple other things that they do that I did not know they had done, is an amazing comprehensive older adult program. They have the Weissman Center, which is on West Atlantic Avenue, and if you go there on any given weekday, it is hustling, bustling like a carnival. They have so much going on there. It's amazing.
For senior citizens?
Yes, for older adults, and also what I never knew about is another separate facility that they have called Career and Employment Services, which is a huge, comprehensive vocational center. The woman that runs it is a licensed clinical social worker named Whitney Cherner, and that's down on South Congress Avenue.
Is that the one we went and toured, where they had a young man who came in and told us how they had, he'd moved, I think, from New Jersey, I think, and he was trying to get a job down there. I think he did tech type work, IT type work, but couldn't get a job. And part of the problem was because he didn't have the training, and so they hooked him up with the training.
They took a 5-day program. They'll train him.
They literally got him. They helped him pick out a suit, or they gave him money for it to get a suit, so he could go and interview and get a job and get his life going.
And sit down on an ongoing basis with licensed master's level social workers and counselors to help him through the process before, leading up to the job, and they also kind of have their fingers on the pulse of where, you know, who's hiring, but also afterwards they kind of hold their hand. So they have that for people re-entering the workforce. They have it for people just first entering the workforce, and they also have it for veterans. So they have like some very specialized focus, and they also have a senior adult program down there as well. So they just do a lot of different things, and now probably one of the most recent things that they've started doing is what we're doing, and we're here to talk about, which is to raise awareness in the Jewish community and in South Beach County regarding substance abuse.
Right. So we have the special, I guess, substance abuse committee, which is part of JFS, right? So what was the reason for that being started?
Okay, so it's called JFS Cares, and it's an acronym for Jewish Family Services, Community Awareness, Resources, and Education for Families with Substance Use Disorder.
Guys, can we take a time out for a second? I got my
Yeah.
investigator calling me. So I interrupt you, but it was interesting. So we'll talk about this, and then we're gonna go back to your bit. But interesting stuff always happens when I'm doing the show. So we took a quick time out because my investigator Dan is working a pickup for me. So one of the cool things about Palm Beach County is, and one of the reasons I can do it so quick, is I've got my investigator is a retired cop, and he goes on all the pickups, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, it speeds things up dramatically because the sheriff's office, they're just overwhelmed. So instead of waiting for 48 hours, 72 hours for somebody from the sheriff's office to go out, and if they don't get them first time, they're going to leave, I got my investigator, and he will go out there with law enforcement to do the pickup. And that does a couple of things. One, it makes it, normally, like you said, 5-6 hours we get them. Two, it makes things go smoother. So on one occasion when I did a pickup in Miami, I had a kid who was whacked out on meth, and there was 2 cops there, and he started a fight with the police, and my investigator helped to sort of subdue the kid. But if he hadn't have been there, they either would have shot him or tased him. Wow. So he's there, he keeps things calm, and that way nobody gets out of control. So that was why we took a time out. But
wow. So it's almost like somebody I know says refers to it as interrupting their death.
Yeah, and it was interesting because I was posting on Facebook over the weekend about how frustrated I was because so most of my clients are out of state. This young lady that we're trying to pick up, she's here, but mum is out of state, which is not unusual. In fact, mum is all the way in Washington, the state of Washington, as far away as you could probably get,
Right.
unless you're in Alaska or Russia. And she called us, as most mums do, frantic, and said, my child's in the emergency room. She was found unconscious, suffered a drug overdose, and I need a court order, and I was told to call you. And there was, somewhat documented on Facebook about the fact that I couldn't get a judge who was, despite the fact she was on call, who refused to take the phone call. And, we were in a very small window to try and get a court order, so they didn't let her go. And unfortunately, I couldn't get it done because, I couldn't get the judges to hear it. So we got a court order this morning, and now my investigator is over there, hopefully initiating the pickup, and we'll save this girl. But I go off on a tangent just for a second.
No, I mean, what else did the judge have to do that was more important?
I'm going to probably have this conversation with our chief judge here in Palm Beach County, and I don't know.
The administrative judge.
Well, the chief judge. So, I don't know if you're the duty judge. I was prosecutor many years ago, way back when, but when I was the duty prosecutor and we had an issue and it was an emergency, we called the duty judge. So, I'm not going to belabor the point because I want to give the judge the benefit of the doubt, but needless to say, I could have had a dead kid on my hands. So, in any event, let's talk about JFS because that's what we want to talk about.
Speaking of that problem, so what had happened is, we have a lot of treatment, substance use disorder treatment facilities in our area, and pretty saturated with them, good, bad, and indifferent. Hopefully, more better these days. But so really Jewish Family Services had not, when it comes to mental health services, had really not engaged in the whole substance use arena. That wasn't their lane. They did offer mental health services, counseling services, therapy services to families, to children, obviously assisting and supporting older adults, bereavement groups, so forth. But they never really engaged in, they really considered substance use disorder or those issues to be separate from mental health issues, which we now know they are not. So what had happened is a young adult, yet an adult, daughter of a individual from one of the larger, wealthier synagogues locally, overdosed and died, and it kind of brought a light to a lot of the substance problems that the Jewish community was encountering yet wasn't addressing.
Do you think it's maybe because one of the things we talked about is the whole stigma with addiction and mental illness, and I just wonder if there are some communities a bit like the Jewish community that if there's an issue going on within the family of addiction and mental illness that is not talked about outside, It's kind of like that scene from The Godfather the Godfather is with Sonny, and they're talking to Luca. Is it not Luca? They're having the talk about with the guy. Who's the guy that ended up getting shot in the Godfather? That Michael shot. I can't remember names. Anyway, there's a scene where they're sitting there and they're trying to do a deal with this guy who's selling drugs, and Sonny blurts out something. And after the meeting, the Godfather says to him, "Never tell anybody what's going on outside of the family. Always keep it within the family."
Right.
So
within the family, and that's basically what happened, especially in the Jewish family, which is really centered around homes. Around the home is the center of life. So the children, education and kind of high achievement is very emphasized, and it's really a reflection, not that it isn't in every family, but if there was this kind of misunderstood shortcoming, which I think substance use disorder is. People believe it's a moral failing, or somebody has, somehow these children, the values that the parents were supposed to impart to the children, they didn't impart successfully, or maybe the parents never had those values. It's a lot of judgment and a lot of stigma and a lot of shame. So, the individual with the problem, it's not only the individual with the problem, the family has the problem as well. So I remember someone I once knew who founded a treatment program locally said, the family is the patient and the patient is the family. And that is especially the case.
Very interesting.
Yeah, that especially is the case within the Jewish community. Anyway, so I believe it was last January, people began to kind of wake up and see that this was at issue. And there was an event at the Jewish Federation on that big campus. It's called the Hillman event. Apparently, I wasn't there, but there was a mother and a son.
Oh, that's Jacob Hillman, right?
Yeah. Mother and the son spoke, and it apparently was a very powerful event. And then they broke up into different discussions. And anyway, so Danielle Hartman, I believe, and Beth Levine, who's the COO at Jewish Family Services, and Danielle is the chief executive officer, they attended that event and were moved. And
I heard it was amazing. I know that Audra went. She said it was fantastic.
Oh, did she? Okay. I didn't. But what happened was Danielle and Beth were, I guess, inspired or motivated to look into this for their clients and for their community at large, and thought this was something that at this point that Jewish Family Services can no longer ignore or deny. So they started exploring some of the, not necessarily treatment, because we know there's plenty of that, and not necessarily even the pathology of substance use disorder, but what solution was available to the Jewish community. What kind of recovery could a Jewish person find in South Palm Beach County that they were comfortable pursuing within a Jewish context. And so they began to explore some of that. And this was all unbeknownst to me. However, I had been involved with a community of people, and have been over the past 15 years, of traditional and observant Hasidic Jewish people, Chabad of Central Boca, that have been supporting the recovering community over the last decade, and that community has really grown. So we have a great deal of recovering people.
So when did the idea of the committee?
So what happened was they support the Jewish community, and what these people do every Friday night is they have a recovery Shabbos meal, where 75 people show up with tattoos, piercings. This isn't a traditional Jewish Shabbos meal, but it's a sober meal. And they come and they kind of have a mutual aid group meeting. They share, but they also sing songs and pray and grace after, grace before meals, and Kiddush with grape juice. And it's a joyful event. So Beth and Danielle found their way there one Friday night, and I met them. And they were very interested in what was going on here and listening to these people. And, personally, I think they also had an interest, because I think Danielle is a parent and concerned about what goes on.
I mean, I've got 5 nieces, and I'll tell you, when now having really done this for several years,
Scary.
Really scary.
So,
Yeah.
So a couple months went by. I had a couple calls from Danielle. And then ultimately what happened is she asked to meet with me. And I met with her at the Weissman Center. And this was in April, last April. And we began talking about me coming on as a consultant, very part-time basis, but to share my experience and my expertise such as it is, in the field of recovery. Not necessarily in the field of treatment, although that's there. But recovery, I think, is more exciting.
How long have you worked in sort of the recovery industry?
Since 1994.
Okay, so you got a lot of years.
Yes,
got a lot of miles.
Yes.
That's great.
Yeah. I'm also in long-term recovery. So, and then the mother of two boys adult boys, men, I guess, in long-term recovery.
It's all right. I'm almost 52. My mother still thinks I'm a little boy.
Well, you are. So.
I am, right? I don't know how I do my own laundry.
Special lawyer.
It's okay.
So, in any case, so we started meeting. First, it was the drug task force, and you were invited. Federation was invited. A couple rabbis were invited. Some local, lay people were invited, and they sit on this committee, and we meet every couple of months. But what we've come up with was in September, we got in touch with our local congregations, our local rabbis, and asked them to please address recovery from substance abuse with their congregations and with their communities in recognition of National Recovery Month, which is every September. So they did that. Some of them did it, and we didn't even know they did it. We heard afterwards. But, once again, the stigma is there. They want to be there for their congregations, but they don't want to kind of air the fact that their congregation might have a problem. So they did it. Some were more open about it than others. But anyway, it was done, and I was pretty pleased with the amount of cooperation and collaboration that took place. And then following that was the High Holy Days, which is just perfect for this kind of thing. And then we began our educational series, a series of 4 events that took place, 2 of which have already taken place at the Weissman Center on West Atlantic Avenue in Delray Beach. The first of which was, we called it Recovery 101.
Yeah, and I'm going to hold this up for the camera, and I'm going to post this. I think I've already posted it on my Facebook page, but I'll post it again. But basically, I don't know if we can get this on the camera. Is this going to show up? Do you need to take a photo of it? Oh, Jay's got it. Okay, so there's a flyer here for
the 4 events.
For the 4 events, and I will post it on Facebook and share it so everybody can learn about it. But go ahead, you were going to say. Sorry.
So our purpose is to raise awareness in the community. So what one of the things we wanted to do was to find those people or target the people that are curious, that want to know if their kid has a problem or want to know if their family member has a problem or maybe even wants to know if they have a problem, and to be able to identify that problem and maybe get help for it before it ends up in a hotel room unconscious or non-responsive.
Right.
Before they have that problem. And all sorts of lawyers and so forth, even though they're good ones, get involved, or special lawyers get involved. So families wanted to know what the red flags were, what was available to them, and basically just to kind of break the ice or put it out on the table. That kind of, if we share it, it isn't as difficult to approach when the time comes. What we also did was we put together a resource list, and that includes meetings locally, mutual aid groups locally that are hosted by either Jewish congregations or community centers, so that when there is a Jewish person that is observant and religious and will not enter a church basement, or here there are no basements, but churches where meetings are taking place where they might find support, that they might be able to get that support.
Can I break you for 1 second? So I'm going to take a quick time out. That was exciting.
Well, thanks.
So that was that pickup that, I had all the issues of the weekend. We got her. So she's on the way to a detox where she'll be assessed and stabilized for 5 to 7 days. We'll have a treatment services hearing probably a week from Wednesday and get her into treatment. Actually, I think that's a wellness case. I think so. I believe it is. So it was the most stressful time from the time that I file the order, I file the petition to getting the order, and then it's like, okay, now we got to get the pickup. So
that's the risky part. Yeah.
It is, but Dan is so good at it. I mean, it wouldn't work without him. So,
good.
All right. Hopefully, that's one more child saved. It's a beautiful thing. I'm gonna call the mum when we're done and tell her we got her. So, what was I saying? Okay, so the resource list. This is all can be found on railsjfs.org. It's kind of hard to get to, but anyway, I'll give you a copy of the resource list so you can maybe look at that. So we wanted to list those places along with my phone number for people that are interested in. You know what, Jay? Can we put this up with the show? So Jay's going to put that on for us.
Okay, it's front and back. So on there are the. Oh, is it front and back? No, is that just one?
It's okay.
Okay. In any case, so for people that need help but aren't going to go necessarily into a church or even call JFS, but can look at this and maybe show up, or maybe just go to the parking lot and like feel it out and see if it's something that they want to do. It's for both families and for the individuals. Also on that sheet are national phone numbers for 12-step fellowships, at-large national hotline from all the 12-step fellowships, as well as Smart Recovery, which is more cognitive behavioral or rational emotive behavioral therapy, and my number. So if anybody's interested, I could also direct them. So that was one of the things that we were working on, and that's kind of a fluid process because that's constantly being updated. In addition to that, we are kind of partnering. I attend the task force meetings up at Albert JFS.
Right. So Albert, which is the North Palm Beach County Jewish Family Services, they have they have their own task force. There's not task force, subcommittee, I guess committee.
They have their own JFS cares.
Right. And I know that they were very gracious and had me up there as a guest. I think we must have had 30 or 40 people up there in the room who had clinical backgrounds like you. So it was interesting, but so it was an opportunity. I always loved being in a room full of clinicians because you guys make the miracle happen. Well, girls, I should say. You ladies, right, make the miracle happen. Well, I just get the code order.
That's a whole other podcast.
It is a whole other podcast. Might have to get you back in here. But I think this is great. I mean, so I know that we had for the first week, which was back in October, we had Andrew Berkey, who, I mean, I love watching Andrew speak. Every time I've ever heard him speak, he's just fabulous. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's a dynamic speaker, and I said to myself, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to keep up with Andrew because he's such a great speaker. So we had Andrew, who was phenomenal, and then back in November we had Dr. Heather Howard, who was amazing too.
Yeah, really. She's from the FAU Sandler School of Social Work. She's an associate professor and she's a researcher.
Yeah, and a super nice lady too.
She's a really nice lady, very, very sweet. She's actually going to be working on a foundation for pregnant women suffering from substance use disorder. We're going to kind of get together and try to come up with some solutions there are very few options for pregnant addicts in Palm Beach County.
I have one of those now, a client of mine who actually has a criminal case pending and got herself, well, I shouldn't, maybe that's the wrong word, is now pregnant and she's in recovery right now, but hopefully that will stay. But I mean, she's thinking, where can I go? I mean, I want to get myself back in treatment while, things are still pending. And there just aren't a lot of resources out there for pregnant moms.
No.
There really aren't.
No. And so that's something that Dr. Heather Howard is going to help us kind of forge ahead and do. And on December 18th, we're going to be hearing from Mark G. Astor.
Yes, me. Yours truly.
The attorney extraordinaire. Who specializes in recovery and Marchman Acts. And, like I said, when I was working with people on a clinical basis in the programs, and there was, or transitional care is a lot of what I did, and there was a Marchman Act, it was quite an ordeal. And usually we would just get to the paperwork. And if the client saw the paperwork, usually their hands would go up in the air and just say, okay, I'll go. but very few times was I actually able to have the paperwork served, the Marchman Act served. Several occasions, people saw the paperwork and weren't interested in getting better and just left the state. And once they leave the state, all bets are off. So it's really amazing that you are able to, our state, really needs this kind of intervention. And, recovery happens.
It does. But sometimes that miracle doesn't happen right out of the gate, right? I mean, I always tell people that treatment isn't a miracle. The Marchman Act's not a miracle, but it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the process, right? You got to get somebody into treatment first of all if you want that miracle to happen. And if they can't make the decision themselves, and a lot of people cannot make that decision because if they could, they would make it. So obviously there's something going on. So somebody has to make that decision for them, which is sort of an interesting way. I sort of look at, mums and dads say to me, well, I don't want to force my child into treatment. I'm like, I don't want to force them in either. I want somebody to make that decision they can't make. Mm-hmm. That's what we're doing. We're making a decision for them.
And it's characteristic of people who get to that point where they can't make a choice. No one wants to be chemically dependent. Nobody wants to be miserable having to, take drugs to be normal. Nobody wants to be that way. They've lost the ability to choose. But my experience is that whenever anybody does get better, there always is some sort of leverage involved. Either it's a relationship that's going to end, or they're going to get cut off, or there's a baby, their child is going to be taken away from them. And in this case, when it comes to the Marchman Act, there are legal consequences. If you don't get help, if you don't get this help, you are going to go to jail. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean,
and if you go to jail, you're still going to have to get help when you get out.
There's consequences, and it's interesting. You talk about that, Sharon, because I get a number of families who say to me, "Oh, I'm not gonna hire a lawyer to do it. I'm just gonna go down to the courthouse because I was told by somebody all I got to do is file paperwork." Well, good luck. I mean, if you can actually get the paperwork right. What's going to happen is the judge is going to set your case for a hearing, and when you get to the hearing, your significant other, your child, they're going to get a lawyer, and you'll be standing there without one.
They're going to get a lawyer if they live.
If they live. And the thing is, I will say to the families, one of the reasons to hire a lawyer is so you don't have to go to the courthouse. You're going to turn a 7 to 10 day process. I'm going to turn it into a 5 to 6 hour process. Which like this young lady who was, in the emergency room over the weekend is critical. She can't wait another 7 to 10 days. She might have been dead by the end of the day.
I was afraid she was dead.
I was afraid too, because I was really afraid. And I think that's why I got so frustrated over the weekend.
Yeah.
But,
because you care.
I really do care. I mean, every child that we save is, there's that feel-good feeling, And actually on the 18th, I'm going to talk a little bit about my background and what sort of got me into this.
We're excited.
I'm excited. I was working on so after you and Danielle came over here and you gave me so many great ideas, I sort of had a PowerPoint that was really sort of focused on Marchman Act, and now I have a much more dynamic PowerPoint. So hopefully,
a psychodynamic PowerPoint.
I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it will be. You're a lot smarter than me, Shannon, at least when it comes to the clinical stuff.
It's going to be
awesome. I do want to ask you one question though, and then I'm going to let you go, but because I think it sort of ties in with the whole idea of what we're doing at JFS, which is the whole issue of a stigma. Like what there just seems to be this sort of stigma, and it even seems to be somewhat prevalent with the parents I speak to. A lot of the time I'll get a situation where one of the parents says, yeah, they got to get a treatment, and the other parent says, no, they just need a swift kick in the backside. And and now I'm sort of a lot more educated on this stuff. It's kind of like, to me, that's like telling somebody who has cancer, you don't need treatment, you need a kick in the rear end. No, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
If you're not going to give them treatment, then you're going to get worse. So why do you think we have this issue of a stigma? I mean, why do you think we've had this? Because
substance use, what happens with parents is they feel as if they take responsibility, even to the point of genetics. We were just talking about genetics. I mean, it's my family's genes that had this, carried this substance use or alcoholic gene down, and that's why our kid has this sort of thing. Parents, they think, is it nature, nurture, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And then you also mix in some of these, mental health issues. And it's very difficult. But as my experience as a parent in recovery with kids, even though I've had this experience of having had substance use disorder and being in recovery, I can't expect my kids to relate to me because they have their own condition. I also thought at one point that when I got into recovery that I was breaking the chain, that would be it, because they never saw me under the influence, but they both ended up with it. And so parents take responsibility, and when a parent is in being asked to participate in this recovery process, if your child is in treatment, you're being asked to do some things that are really, as a parent, pretty counterintuitive. You're being told to say no when all you want to do is just wrap them up in a blanket and hold them. You're being told to detach from your child, and it just kind of twists you. So we have to come up with, or we have come up with a lot more kind of, a lot less rigid ways of being able to support the families, offer them some very real resources other than just kicking someone to the curb. Oftentimes there are mental health issues that are unaddressed or substance-induced psychiatric symptoms,
Right. That's all we say,
So, what am I going to kick someone who's totally incompetent and inebriated to the curb? That's just not going to be helpful. So that's, there is never a case have I ever seen where parents are involved with a loved one, with an adult child, that there isn't a wedge. That's just characteristic of the family disease. The addict or the alcoholic is going to drive a wedge between their parents. And but once they're in recovery, they learn that trust is something that they have to earn, and the families are still waiting for the other shoe to drop. So it becomes a lot more complicated. They're almost like almost self-fulfilling prophecy. They're expecting their child to
have an issue,
to not do well. So it's almost like the families, even though the loved one or the child has gotten into recovery and stopped using and is even, pursuing recovery, the families, I like to say, it's like an electric fan. You turn off the power, but they're still spinning, and they're still watching, and they're still going there. And, I can still go there with my kids, or both in recovery.
Yeah, I've noticed that the good treatment centers also, once they have a child in treatment, also really make a huge effort to sort of, I think they call it like family weekends, but they make a real effort to sort of nurture the families too, because, as we know, it's a family disease, and, you might be your son or your daughter is having this issue, or maybe even a spouse, but most of the time it's a child. But yet the families, they're in crisis, it's affecting everything.
They have to start speaking the same language.
They really do. And I've noticed that when that happens, it helps the whole family to heal, and they sort of recover together. It's a beautiful thing. So
families do recover together.
They do. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I'm really glad you came on the show.
Oh, I'm glad you had me.
So let's give out some information. So if there's anybody out there who sees the show and wants information about just even someone to talk to for Jewish Family Services, and it doesn't matter if you're Jewish, Catholic, Muslim, it doesn't matter. We're here to help the community. That's the most important thing. Because like it or not, we're all sort of stuck with each other, so we got to get along, and we have to, we really have to give love so we can get it back. JFS, is this the phone number on the bottom here, the 684 number? 702 number?
Yeah, that's the Alpert Jewish Family Services up north. The phone number for Jewish Family Services in Boca Raton is 561-852-3333.
Okay.
And my phone number is 561-702-7603. Or you can contact me at Sharon B, that's SHARONB, at railsjfs.org. And all of this information is on that flyer that we're going to post. We do have, so you can register online for our educational series, or you can call the educational hotline, or you could just call my phone number. There's any old way to do it. But the event is taking place a week from tomorrow, next Tuesday, on December 18th. And it's going to be between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Weissman Center. We will have cookies and water and juice. And that is located at 7091 West Atlantic Avenue in Delray Beach. And that's just west of Jog Road on Atlantic. There's also a synagogue in there, Anshe Shalom, so it's in the same parking lot. And after that, we're going to be hearing, after we've heard from our extraordinary lawyer, Mark.
I'm hiring you to do my PR, by the way.
What's your middle name anyway?
Gary.
Gary?
Yeah, named after my grandmother, who actually passed away before my parents met.
Oh.
She was killed in a car accident.
Oh, my gosh. Wow. In England?
Drunk driving accident, actually.
Seriously?
Yep.
Is that going to be part of the story? Well,
actually, I hadn't really thought about that, but I guess I could throw it in.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's all cosmic, the way it... Anyway, so Mark Gary Astor, after December 18th, that we hear from him, which I'm very excited about. Our final event is going to be, in our series, is going to be Spirituality and Recovery, what Judaism teaches us about recovery. And at that time, we're going to be hearing from two local rabbis from kind of different ends of the spectrum of Judaism, going to be discussing how to address substance use disorder within a Jewish context and how they see it and what the Torah teaches, Talmud teaches, and what they teach, and what kind of support they can offer our families. So I think that's just about it. Anything else?
I think you got it.
Did I
You
stutter?
did. So, in addition to going to the JFS website, you can also go to our website, which is drugandalcoholattorneys.com. I'm going to post this flyer on our Facebook page. So there's the Drug and Alcohol Attorney Facebook page. There's the Mark G. Astor Facebook page. We'll put it on that too. And also this show will go live probably on Friday after Jay and Deanna do their magic.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'll be able to watch the show. You'll be able to get information about this, and it will also go. It'll probably be on YouTube. So it'll be on the Drug and Alcohol Attorney website. It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube. And if somehow you still can't figure out, where to watch it, give me a call, 561-419-6095, or just email me at mark@drugandalcoholattorneys.com.
Okay, thank you so much, Mark.
Thanks, Sharon. It's good to see you. By the way, she gives the best hugs, just so you know that. If anybody needs a hug, Sharon's full of love.
Yep.
All right, guys, thanks.
Okay, thank you.